Hey guys, welcome to this video, and today we're going to be creating the Android app I had told you guys about in the previous video. This is the second video to the create your own Amazon API series. So let's get started. Now basically before we get started, what we need to do is we need to get the project from GitHub. So the URL, so this is the URL to the Amazon repository for the previous code, which is the API only. After we finish this, I will be including the code to the Android app as well. So we have the Amazon API. Now what we can do is we're going to say clone. So now it will clone this repository from my GitHub, and now we're going to go to the project files and just give me a minute. Yeah, so this is the code which is on my GitHub repository. So before we get started, we need to change a few things. Number one, make sure you have your Chrome driver executable. I do not have it here, but I have the exe saved somewhere else. I'm just going to copy that and I'm going to paste it in here. So paste, and no, I do not want to add this to GitHub. And now what you want to do is just go to Selenium scrape sel.py file, and here we say webdriver.chrome, and we're going to say executable. I think I don't need to change anything because it's right there, we know it. And now what you want to do is create a virtual environment so that you can manage your dependencies. So we're going to say virtual env zen. So that will create a virtual env. And if you guys don't already have the virtual env package installed, you can install it with pip install virtual env. If you do that, I already have it installed, so we have no problem. And then what you want to do is activate the virtual environment. So what you can do that using dot backslash, and this is the name of the virtual environment that we created, so VNV. Then the rest of the part is standard, which is scripts, and slash activate. So if you activate, you'll see that now we are in the virtual environment. So I'm going to install the two dependencies, which is Selenium and Flask. So pip install Flask and Selenium. So we're going to wait until that installs. Just give it a minute. Okay, so now that you have both our dependencies installed, we need to change the host IP to our local IP address other than our local host. So what do I mean by that? Basically, your local IP address is the IP address given to you by your network router, while your local host IP address is the one which is only accessible on your machine. So basically, your local host IP is always 127.0.0.1. This is your local host IP. So this IP address is only accessible by this machine. But if I want to say use my phone and access the API from my phone, which is actually not a part of this PC, even if you're using an emulator, you'll still need to run it on the local IP. So the local IP is usually in the format 192.168. Is in some case this can be any number. In my case it's 0, my previous router had 1, my friend's router has 29 here, so it depends on which router you have. So to find your IP address, what you want to do is run ipconfig in the terminal. So how does them? If you're using Ethernet, you will want to look at your Ethernet adapter IP address, but I use Wi-Fi, so I'm going to look at the IPv4 address of my Wi-Fi adapter. So basically my IP address here is this, so 192.168.0.131. so what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy that and I'm going to paste that in here. So now the API will be accessible on this address and the port remains the same. So we're going to save that and we're going to open our terminal again. I close it, sorry. And now we're going to do python api.py. So if we run that, it's working. And we're going to run this again. Now what we can do is we can one second. Okay, we'll just use Chrome for that then. So we're going to make the same request, so http, then we're going to paste that in. Oops, going to paste that in. Okay, 192.168.0.131 and then port 9200, one we had mentioned in the config when we started the API. So API/Amazon and the URL parameter, and let's just get that Amazon product again, amazon.com, MacBook, the first one, and we can copy the URL and pass that here. Now if we do that, yes, our new tab opens, it will get the details unless there are any error. And yes, so our API is working with the new IP. So now we can get started with creating our app since this is working. So let me just close that. We can stop our API for now. Okay, we can close PyCharm. Yes. And now what you want to do is you want to launch Android Studio. Yes, Android Studio. And it's just starting up on my second monitor. Just give it a second. So going to start a new Flutter project, new Flutter applications, and we're going to call this Amazon API, Amazon_API_app. Description, and I just want to change the directory, so I'll just change it. So just change it to whatever directory you want the project to be created in. So I have selected my location, and the description you don't need to change it. Okay, next, and here basically what this will be the package name. Make sure this is unique if you work in an organization. This will be com.your domain name. So this is a package name assuming your domain is example.com. I don't have a website, but what you can do is just change this to me.yourname. So my name, so let's say me.cyberdude.amazon API app. So we're going to click on finish. It will create a project. Just give it a moment. Next, so we have the default app created. So I'm just going to start my emulator. Let's say Pixel. Okay, let's do the Pixel, the second one. Okay, now that the emulator has started up, we can run our application. So just select the device which you are running, the emulator or the physical device, and then just click on the run button. So it will start running the app. So it will build the app and then install it here. Let's just give it a minute. Okay, now we can see that the app has been built and it is installing the APK. And now the demo app is up. So if we click on this button, this number should increase. So nice, yeah. So everything is set up correctly and it's working. So you can just stop running the app. And now what you want to do is just select all of this code. Just select all of this. Just select all of this until here. So just let this import material dot statement and the void main function remain and remove everything else. So now what we're going to do is we're going to create a stateful widget called my app. Yes, and this is going to return a material app. Also, if you guys have any ideas about which app I should try a standalone Android app, let me know. I'll try to make a video on that. And then, so the material app, we're going to say debug checked mode banner. In short, what does this long statement mean? Basically, you would have noticed in the demo app there was this debug banner here in the top right. I think I can show it to you guys. Yeah, one second, just let it run. Yeah, this one, this debug banner here. So we're just going to remove that, and we're going to set this to false because we do not want this to be seen. So false. And this will also have a home property which will be a scaffold, and the scaffold has a body property where we're going to be writing all our main code. So this will be a container which has a child of column, and this column will have several children. So we're going to put a text widget in here for now. Since Flutter supports hot reload, I can show you guys the changes I'm making as I make them. So it will reload them every time I save the file or make a change. So we'll just set this to hello world so you can see the changes or see all the changes that are made after this. So we're going to save that and we can run the app again. And now you can see the app has been built, and you can see the hello world text here. It's not clear, so I'll just wrap the column in a safe area widget. Wrap with widget. I'm going to say safe area. Yeah. And now you can see the hello world text here. So as you just saw, as soon as I saved the file after putting that had instantly changed. So what are the things that you'll need on an app? So basically what we'll need is number one, a text box where you can input the URL of the Amazon product. Then number two, a button to create and a button to click, which will then get the details of the product from our API, and then we can display rest of the details down here in the middle. So we'll get started with that, and we'll say column and we'll give it a few children. So the first one will be a text field. Actually, before that, what we can basically do is we can create an app bar for an app. So app bar, and we're going to create an app bar, and we're going to give it a title, and the title is going to be a text widget, text, and we're going to say Amazon API app. API. I'm going to save that. You see, we get our own nice text bar, app bar. We can do the styling a bit later, colors to make it look better, but we'll do that later because that's not the main focus. So text field, let's see decoration, and we're going to give it an input decoration. So input decoration, yes, I'm going to say hint text, text. So our hint text is going to be enter Amazon product URL. Oh, cool. Okay, so now you see that we can see this hint text, but when I enter something, it goes away. Also, a small problem is that this is stuck to the side, so you might not be able to see sometimes clearly what you have written. So what you're going to do is just, I'm going to wrap this in a padding widget. So so that gives it a little bit of space all around the edges. So yeah, now we can enter the URL for our product. So we're just going to set this to, let's get the MacBook URL again. Yes, so amazon.com and MacBook, yeah, this one. Copy the URL. Now we can close this. So just for later use, I'm going to put a comment here which is Amazon product. I'm going to put this so we don't have to open Google Chrome each time. And what you can also do is you can paste that here, and that we can keep for later. Now we need to create a variable to store the input that we give here. So since this input is a string, I'm going to create a string variable called product, string product. I'm going to just initialize that because we are not giving it any value yet. And now basically text field has a onChanged callback function. So onChanged, so basically what this is, every time we change this, say we add a space or we add a new character or backspace, this function is called and it takes a argument value. So this value is basically whatever we type here. So whatever we type after making the change, this value. So what we're going to do is we're going to set the value of our product variable. So let's call it product URL, it's more descriptive. So we're going to set the product URL to the value. Yes. Now that we have that done, now we can get on with creating a button. So we're just going to say raised button. Yes, raised button, and it is going to have a child. We'll say text, and let's say query API. Yes, just query API. I'm going to save that. Now we see a button. It's gray because it does not have any function. That means when we tap it, nothing is going to happen. So now we create a onPressed function, and what this will do, and what we can do here is we just set it to do get data from Amazon API. Yes. And now here we're just going to, we don't need to do anything yet. Now we have to create a new file in our lib folder, and I wanted to call that, I'm going to create a dart file, api.dart. Now to make HTTP request, we need a package HTTP. So what you basically do is you go to this website pub.dev. So this is a list of all the packages that you get on the get for Dart, Flutter, etc. So here we're going to search for HTTP, so this one, and what we want to do is we want to install this plugin. So these are the instructions to install this. So let's see, we need to depend on it. Okay, so just copy this text, copy that, and we're going to open the pubspec.yaml file here. So we're just going to find, where is that? Yes, so we're going to find this Cupertino icons. This is there by default, so just going to paste that under that, and we're going to save this file, and then we're going to click on the Flutter pub get here, or you can do or you can do this as well, Flutter packages, Flutter pub get. So you can do that, or you can write packages get, the same thing, or you can click it here, doesn't matter. I just ran the same command 3 times. It won't affect that. So now what we can do is we can basically import this package into our Dart code. So we're just going to use this to import the package. So we're going to import it in the api.dart file. Now since our command takes time to process the data and then give it back as a JSON to us, what we're going to do is this will be an asynchronous function that we're creating, because we'll have to wait for the data. So since we'll get this later, this is going to be a future, and the function we're going to call it is get data. The function that is get data, and we're going to pass in a query URL. This URL will actually include the full path, or actually not the full path, but the full query URL. So what we're giving here is only the Amazon product URL, but to get the data from the API, you saw that we had to give the entire path, which was our IP address, port number, then API/Amazon, and then give it an argument. So basically this is the query URL, which will be the entire URL. And since this is an asynchronous function, we'll mark it with the async flag, and then we want to import, and also you don't remember to put as HTTP. So we can use this entire library as HTTP. I always use it, don't actually do that. So we do not know the name to the direct function, but anyway, we can do this way easier. Then we're going to create a variable with the data type http.response. Then the variable name is going to be response, and we're going to set that equal to http.get query URL. Since this is an asynchronous function, we're going to pass in the await flag, because we're going to await this, and then this function is going to return the content or the body of that function. So we're going to return response.body. So you can see that. And now I want you to go to your main Dart file, and we're going to import api.dart. Also, since the data we are getting is in a JSON format, you also want to import the Dart convert package, which will help us convert the data. So Dart, oh no, not that, sorry. So Dart :convert, yes. So now here that we put our to do, we're going to do exactly that. So let's see, we're going to create a variable of a dynamic data type var data is equal to what is it? Yes, we're going to do get data query URL. So here what do we pass in? So we pass in a query that we made with Google, which we use a Google browser for, which was HTTP. Then you can always create a text field to take an input for the port number and the IP address. If you guys want me to show you guys how to implement that, I'll do that in the next video, because this video is kind of long. So here I'm just going to hard code the IP address for the time being. So 192.168.0.131 port 9200, then /API/Amazon, then our argument, which is the URL. And now if you want to interpolate some value in this string, what we do is, as in Python, what we did was made it an f string. So we had an f here, we put an f to mark it as an f string, and then inside our brackets we put the variable name. But in Dart we don't do things like that. Instead, what we do is you put a $sign and then you put a variable name, and in this case it is product URL. So this is the complete query request. Since this is an asynchronous function, we're going to await this data. So await, no, wait, I don't think we're supposed to await that data. I'm not sure. Just let me check my. Okay, yeah. So basically, you have to mark this function as async. Now you can await this data. And now, since this is an encoded data as JSON, we want to decode this. So we're going to say var decoded underscore data. I'm going to say decoded. This is decoded, I think. Let me check my previous code. Okay, it is JSON decode. We're going to JSON decode and our data. Yes. So this is the decoded data that we have. So this is going to decode it into a dictionary. So now what we can do is we need to have a look at the data that we were returning. So we're going to need to run the API again. So we'll just open PyCharm again, and now here the last one, the dictionary we create. Okay, let's see what we have. So we have our name. So we have the name of the product, the price, the image link, so much more. So for now, what I'll just do is I'll just show you how to display the name, the price and the image link, and I'll actually show you how to display the image of the product that we are looking for. So we're just going to work with these three for now. You can always use the rest of the data for later whenever you need. So we're just going to work with these three values. Just give me a moment. Yes, so we're going to create, let's say, what was this, we're going to initialize variables for each of these things. So we're going to create string name, string image underscore URL, and we're going to create a string price. Even though the price will probably be let's see, what do you call that? Yes, the price will probably be in integer. We'll convert it into a string anyway. Even if it has the $sign with the price, then it will be a string already, and if we convert it into a string, no harm done. But if it's an integer, we'll have an error. So what we're going to do is we're going to convert it into a string later down the line, just to be safe. Now see, we have our decoded data, and now since we have a stateful widget, we're going to say set state, and then we're going to set our name equal to so let's say decoded data. Okay, so decoded data, and since this is a dictionary, we can, or a map in case of Flutter or Dart. So this is the name property, the same one here, and then we can set our price equal to decoded data and say price. And to make sure this is a string, what we're going to do is we're going to wrap this in a, okay, not that, what we're going to do is we're going to call the toString method on this. So if this is an integer, it will convert it to a string. If it's a string, nothing will change. And then what we have is our image URL, then that will be the decoded data, and this is the image link. So we're just going to copy this and we're going to paste it in here. So once we do that, what I'll do is we'll just have it print out all of this data after it does that. So we're going to print name, and you can just copy this line 3 times, and we can change this to price, and we can change this to image URL. So let's just check. But yeah, so we are doing that. We're changing the product value. Yes, I think we're good to go. Let's run our API. So open our terminal, activate a virtual environment, scripts, activate python api.py. Yeah, nice. We have our API running. I'll just minimize this and then just save this to make sure all our files are reloaded, and then we're going to say query API. So now if we save it, we can run this again. Okay, sorry, I think I closed my PyCharm IDE. Yeah, so make sure you run your API before querying the API. Where is this? Yeah. So just activate the virtual environment, and we're going to save from python api.py. It's going to run, and we can query the API again. This time it should work. Okay, you can see it's getting the details here. It has gone to the correct page. Let's just give it a minute. So yeah, you can see here it is printing out the name, the price. Since it has a $sign, it's already a string, and the image link. So now after this raise button, what we can do is we can create a text widget, and we can create something. I think it's called a ternary operator, I'm not sure, but basically instead of writing a if statement and changing variables, for small things like just checking the value is null and then choosing what should be displayed there, we can do something simple as this. So we're going to be displaying the name here. So if we do name is equal to null, which means that name does not have any value, and then a question mark. So if this is true, what should be displayed here? We'll just say no name, and if the value is not null, means that if it has a value. So after the question mark until the colon, this is what we run if this statement is true, and if it is false, we will display name. And we can do the same for the price. So we can do that, price. So price is equal to null, then we want to display the price. And now to display image from a URL, since we do not have this locally saved, we are going to use we're going to say image dot network, and the source, if again we're going to use the ternary operator, and we're going to say if the image, which variable was that, img, if the image URL is null, then what should be your source? Let's see, placeholder image. Let's just take this one. So I'm going to say open image in new tab. So we have the link here, just copy this. Just want to copy that. So if the image network is null, I want this to be the source. If it is false and we have an image URL, it should be the image URL. So we're going to save that, and now you'll see we have the name displayed and the price and the image. So now let's find a new product. Let's say Amazon.com. Oh, okay, let's say iMac. And yeah, I can open iMac. So we'll just get the URL to this, and just to show you the part where we implemented the place where if it is null it will say no name, what you can do is you can run a hot restart on your app. So what this will do, this will restart the app and no state will be maintained. So as you can see, because all the values are there, we have at null, it says no name, and oh, we can just change this to no price, and you can see no price, and the placeholder image that we have selected. So we just place the new image, which is the iMac, and we're going to say query API, and now it's going to query the API, and you can see our API is open in the browser and is looking for the details, and there we have it, and the image, everything. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Also, if you guys have any suggestions about any apps I should create or any ideas, feel free to write them down in the comments, and please subscribe. Thank you. Bye.